Welcome to the complete guide to mastering Ganyu in Genshin Impact. In this video, you are going to find the things that separate Ganyu from the rest of the characters in Genshin Impact, the best ways to take advantage of these changes, as well as the characters, the artifacts, and the weapons that you should be utilizing to master this character. When utilizing Ganyu as a main damage dealer, the thing that you're going to be focusing on the most is going to be her unique charged attack. Unlike other bow users in Genshin Impact, Ganyu has a level 2 version of her charge attack, making the arrow upon hitting contact with the enemy or the floor, or after a certain amount of distance is traveled, causes it to explode and doing massive AoE damage. This distinction is important to note because you will be spending a tremendous amount of time in combat with Ganyu charging up and releasing these charged attacks, causing you to be vulnerable while doing so. Thankfully, Ganyu does provide herself some form of protection with her elemental skill, Trail of the Keelan. This elemental skill is going to spawn a nearby blossom that will taunt enemies for up to 6 seconds. After the 6 seconds are over, it will explode, dealing AoE cryo damage. Do note that this flower can be destroyed by enemy attacks and may not get the full 6-second duration, and thus not 6 seconds of taunt. Ganyu's elemental skill provides her an incredible amount of both AoE inconsistent damage, either as your main damage dealer or as a support character, through the use of Celestial Shower. Celestial Shower spawns a magnificently large AoE field that will pepper enemies within that field with cryo icicles over the period of time. It has a 15-second duration and a 15-second cooldown, so you can have a 100% uptime on this elemental burst, which makes her perfect for either increasing her own damage or providing additional support damage as a support damage dealer while she is off the field. You can also utilize this in freeze teams with a Hydro main carry character such as Child, or even a Pyro main carry character to allow you to melt off of this constant AoE cryo damage. For weapons, as a free-to-play player, look no further than the prototype Crescent crafted bow. This bow is made for Ganyu as it can give you a 36 or up to 72% at max refinement rank attack percent bonus and speed bonus to help you dodge around the battlefield for 10 seconds. It also does have attack percent as its main stat. For 5-star bows, the Skyward Harp and the Amos bow are both fantastic choices here for you, as they will increase your critical hit damage or your attack percent in the form of Amos's bow. And the Amos bow passive to increase your charge attack damage does in fact work with Ganyu. Other bows to think about here are the Black Cliff bow and the Viridescent bow. However, the Viridescent bow, the Battle Pass bow, is by far the worst of her main DPS bow options because it gives you that critical hit rate but not much else, and when properly built you are already going to have a substantial amount of critical hit rate on Ganyu, whereas the Black Cliff Warbow here is going to increase the amount of damage you do over time in any way situations, as it will give you a stacking attack percent bonus and also comes loaded with critical hit damage. And then obviously if you're using your Ganyu as a support damage dealer, maxing out her elemental burst and elemental skill damage is going to be your priority, and the Stringless is fantastic at doing just that. Getting into artifacts, if you are making Ganyu your mainstay main damage dealer and you are running her in the Cryo team setup, the Blizzard Strayer set is the set that you are wearing. It's just hands down the best one. The 2-piece bonus here is going to increase cryo damage you deal by 15%, which is every single piece of damage that you're dealing on Ganyu, whereas the 4-piece set will give you either 22% to 40% increased crit rate to enemies, 20% against enemies afflicted by cryo, or 40% if they are in fact frozen. This allows you to build your Ganyu in a team with 2 cryo characters, which gives you the elemental resonance bonus of 15% increased crit rate versus enemies afflicted by cryo, and that does in fact stack with the Blizzard Strayer set. Couple this with the Ascension we talked about earlier for Ganyu, which increases the crit rate of her Frostflake arrow in bloom by subsequent arrows by 20%. You can get up to 80% crit rate with no crit rate gear whatsoever. If you're looking to utilize your Ganyu as an elemental burst support damage dealer, then look for 2 pieces of the Snow Swept memory, as well as 2 pieces of none other than the Noblest Oblige set. This set 2-piece here is going to give you 20% increased elemental burst damage and will allow your Ganyu to be active as a support character even if you are not using her in a cryo focused / freeze team. However, if you are using her in a cryo focused / freeze team, feel free to leave her in that full snow set. When it comes to artifact main stats, when using the Blizzard Strayer set on your Ganyu, the circlet is going to be a critical damage circlet, the goblet is going to be a cryo damage increasing goblet, and the sands is going to be an attack percent sands. The substats here that we're focusing on is more critical damage and more attack percent. You can sprinkle in a little bit of energy recharge there so you can have that lovely full uptime on her elemental burst. If you are running her outside of that freeze composition with the double cryo characters, the no hydro character, and you are using her as a support character with the 2-piece of the Blizzard Strayer and the 2-piece of Noblest Obliged, then your artifact stats will subtly change. You're going to be focusing on a crit rate circlet as your main stat, but still activating and using an attack percent sands as well as a cryo damage goblet. And your substats here are going to be crit damage, crit rate, attack percent, and energy recharge as before. Get enough energy recharge so you have 100% uptime on your elemental burst, as that is what she's doing in your team as a support burst character, and then get more critical chance as well as critical damage. When assembling a team to maximize the damage that your Ganyu main damage dealer can do, there are 2 words you need to live by, and those 2 words are crowd control. Crowd control is exceptionally important for Ganyu, as it is one of the main ways to remove the weakness of her charge attack. As it takes around 2 seconds to charge up a level 2 charge attack, those 2 seconds leave you very vulnerable to incoming fire, especially when you are fighting multiple enemies. So an Animo type character fits Ganyu perfectly, as it can collect them together, crowd control them with their Animo type skills, and reduce their cryo resistance with the Viridescent Venerers set. The other thing that you were thinking of while using Ganyu, which is also crowd control, is going to be the freeze status element. So you need a hydro character in your team as well, between the crowd control of your Animo character to gather the enemies together and the ability for you to freeze them with your hydro and cryo characters. You will give Ganyu everything she needs to thrive in said environment. Another important facet for a main damage dealing Ganyu character is going to have a supportive type, or at least an additional cryo character in your team for the Shattering Ice elemental resonance bonus. This is going to increase your crit rate against enemies that are either frozen or simply affected by cryo by 15%, which is going to be a substantial increase to your damage over time. There are many types of teams that you can use with this main damage dealing setup Ganyu, and in some of those teams she is even able to share the damage dealing spotlight with another cryo character such as Kea. Support damage dealing Ganyu, you're looking to maximize the effect of her elemental burst through the ability to rapidly apply different elemental combinations to your opponent, whether it be a Pyro type team with a Diluc or a Bennett main carry damage dealer, or a Superconduct team with a Razor in it as well. You can even go as far as to include her in a Spear type damage dealing team with Zhongli or Xingling, as well as using her to proc Superconduct with a character such as Fischl. The cryo element has become exceptionally powerful in patch 1.2 with the new cryo set, as well as Ganyu to provide you the ability to support with that cryo element in a wide variety of ways. These are just some ideas for you to utilize her as a support character in Genshin Impact, but there are several more. If you manage to acquire any of Ganyu's constellations, it's going to further increase the speed and effectiveness of her roles, either as a main damage dealer or as a support burst oriented damage dealer. Constellation 2 gives you a second charge of her elemental skill, allowing you to further increase the duration that you can taunt enemies due to that second application of her blossom. Constellation 4 gives you a stacking damage effect that increases the damage that enemies take while standing inside of her elemental burst from all sources by up to 25%. And then Constellation 6 gives you the ability to fire a free fully level 2 charge attack after you use her elemental skill. Combine that with the second constellation that gives you 2 charges, and you can get 2 to even 3 fully charged auto-charged attacks into your enemies' faces, greatly increasing her burst damage potential, as well as her survivability and quick expediency of her damage. Let us know which ways you are utilizing Ganyu down below in the comments section. What team composition ideas have you come up with? What is the favorite part that you found in this video? What part helped you out the most or even the least down below? And if you want to see more stuff, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have fun out there.